Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15 Red podcast this week with myself, Kelly Barker, fresh from a trip to the Welsh Open, and I've got Scott MacArthur over there in Northern Ireland. Hello, Scott.
Hello to you, Kelly. I trust you enjoyed your little sojourn on the North Wales coast and a very enjoyable week, no doubt. And I trust you're keeping very well in general.
Oh, I'm well, Scott. It was a really nice time in Wales. Always enjoyable there. Lovely bit of coast, and the snooker's played right on the seafront as well. So yeah, it's always a good one to go to for a few days.
Indeed. Well, you may think this has rather turned into the Mark Selby Appreciation Society. Uh, this afternoon because we got two tournaments to cover, and Mark Selby won both of them. Because you will be aware that because Kelly was away, we weren't with you last week, so we got to cover the Championship League winners group, and of course Mark Selby beat Kyron in that final. If you can remember that far back, Kelly, which I'm sure you can, what were your thoughts on Mark Selby in that winners group those 2 days in Leicester?
Well, he seems to like this tournament, doesn't he? He won it last year as well, and anyone who does well in the Championship League, it sort of sets you up for, you've been in some good match practice, and he played very well actually against Kyron, and the whole group really, you couldn't fault him, and it was good to see him. Good to see him back in the winners' circle. He won the British Open earlier in the season, and yeah, just pleased for him because he's one of the good guys of the game, and yeah, I like to see him do well. So yeah, good few days in Leicester for the local man.
Indeed, very much so. And those of you who are regular listeners to Dave Hendon's musings will remember that a couple of weeks ago I sent in an email about the best of five, or what I thought was the best of five ever played. And I was, of course, referring to the extraordinary match in the group stages between Joe Godon and Mark Selby, where there were four centuries in a row and a re-spotted black, including the maximum. Did you see that match, Kelly, and what did you make of it?
Yes, I did. Quite extraordinary standard of snooker. I know there's a lot of people don't always like the Championship League, but I think you get some fantastic snooker, and that match is one of the best examples of it. And another 147 to enjoy, and yeah, all those centuries. Throw in a respotted black as well. I think that match just about had everything you could want as a snooker fan.
Yeah, I mean, it was truly extraordinary, and and it shows you, I suppose, that we shouldn't make ourselves hostages to fortune. You'll remember on the last podcast, listeners, that I had mentioned that the season was turning into a bit of a Judd Trump, Kyron Wilson uh, two-man show, but that seems to have been broken by Mark Selby. But well done on winning the Championship League. A nice few £1,000 for him there. No ranking points for that. But then we moved to where you were in Llandudno for, was it 4 days you were there? And you're going to take us through some of the results, and then we'll talk about it as we go along.
Yes, well, Mark Selby being the man of the moment in the Championship League, he actually kicked things off in the Welsh on the Monday morning. He beat Hayden Pinhey 4-2, I think it was, and he was suffering with a bit of a bad chest and a cough in that match. So he did well to win. He played pretty reasonable, not his best snooker, but
Yeah.
he was over the line. And by the time he played the next match, not until Wednesday night against Elliot Slezzer, He seemed much better by then. So yeah, got the first match done with early, and got himself rested up for the rest of the tournament. So that was good from him. And I've made notes from the quarterfinals onwards. Lots happened before then, but yeah, from the quarters onwards, well, just before the quarters actually. Well, I'll go with Joe O'Connor. Actually, was the man who beat Kyron Wilson 4-3. That was a decent match. After Judd didn't enter the tournament and Ronnie didn't play, Kyron was a hot favourite for this one, especially after just recently winning in Germany. But Joe O'Connor's had some good form of his own in recent times. He played very well in the Championship League. And he got the better of Kyron 4-3. So that was good to watch. Other earlier notable mentions, Luca came through. He started playing. He's been playing better lately. Maybe he'd left it a little bit too late for the season because, as we go on, we'll see that he is so narrowly missed out on the Hong Kong event, which he would have wanted to be in, really. Yeah. But nice to see him playing well again. But we move on to the quarterfinals, and the first one up was Mark Selby and John Higgins. Now, if you are a bit of a purist, then this is the match for you. I mean, it lasted nearly all day, it seemed, but I really enjoyed it, I have to say.
Yeah, me too.
Bit of a marathon. Two of the best match players the game's ever seen, and John was a bit unlucky to lose, but I'd have said Mark was unlucky if he'd have lost. Neither of them gave an inch or would expect an inch, and yeah, proper gladiator snooker that was, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I was just going to say on that one, if you imagined those two playing a best of 9, that's how it would turn out.
Absolutely. I think the average frame time turned out to be about 30 minutes or more, but it didn't feel like, sometimes you can have slow snooker and it isn't very good at all. This was top draw. I really enjoyed it. And I know it isn't for everyone, but it is for me. I loved it.
No, well, you know me. I love a good sort of scrap of Wales, so that was tremendous. It really was. I was sort of sad for John because he, 3-4 nils on the trot against Graham Dott, Robert Milkins, and Jan Sejun, but then he just came up again. It's like playing against himself, nearly, in a sense.
Do you know what? That's exactly how I would say it, Scott. It's like playing against himself if he imagines himself at his best. Selby is so strong. He is what Higgins was in his best days. Safety is so strong. The scoring power when he gets in is phenomenal. And yeah, I felt a bit sorry for John to lose a match like that after giving absolutely everything. But there were strong signs of positivity this week for John. He played very well in the earlier matches. And if he hadn't have played so well against Mark, he would have lost a lot easier. So although I'm sure he left Wales disappointed to lose a match like that, you can still see the quality there, and I'm positive that he could end the season with the last several tournaments to go. I'm positive that he could end the season on a good note.
Yes. The signs are certainly there, but what else have you got on the quarterfinals then?
Well, because the Selby and Higgins game lasted so long, the next match on had to be moved to table 2, which was Luca Brissell against Jackson Page, who was the final Welshman in the tournament. and so that, yes, they moved across to table 2 and came on at about 4 o'clock. Luca had a 94, Jackson had a 103, but you always felt that Luca had control of that one. He won the match 5-2. And I think it was 2-2 at the interval, but Luca was the much better man after the interval, and he deservedly won that one. And yeah, I think it was another good run for Jackson. Things are looking very up for him in the last few months. You know, he reached the Invitational Championship League final earlier in the season. He got to the World Open semis back end of last season, and now this. So there's positive signs there. I think he's a very, very good player. Been mentored by Mark Williams, you know, since he was a youngster. So I mean, he's not old now. It's just that he has been around a long time.
Yeah.
But I've got good hopes for Jackson, and you know, he's going to be in the Grand Prix in Hong Kong, so that's another chance for him. And I hope he qualifies for the Crucible because he's a good quality player, and I really like to see him play.
Yes, I mean, you always, as you say, you always sort of felt that Luca had the upper hand on Jackson. I was sort of, you know, flicking between them, keeping an eye on both the scores, really. But, you know, you always, as I say, sort of felt that he was on top. I think as well, the thing with Luca is I think he's finally learnt that he's a snooker player and not just someone who's very good at snooker. I think, unfortunately, the realization has probably come too late in the season, but you know, the performance against Jackson Page probably showed that there are green shoots of positivity for him as well.
I think so, yes. And interestingly, he had his mum and dad along with him this week, which I don't believe he has done regularly since he won the World Championship. So maybe having them along, like you say, he's realised he's a snooker player first and foremost. And although he doesn't have another event now until Sheffield, if he puts the work in, which I'm sure he will do, and I hope he does, he's still got, you know, he will be a seed at Sheffield. And, you know, if he carries on playing the way he has done in recent times, I do think there is still, like you say, there's green shoots of recovery for him that we've seen recently. And I really like watching Luca. I think he's a great kid, and it was a great story when he won at Sheffield. Why can't he do it again? Yeah, he's mega talented, so
I
why
know,
not?
I know. And unfortunately, another sort of near miss for someone we talked about a number of times. Do you want to elaborate?
Yes, I'm assuming you're talking about Jack Lazowski,
Yes, yes.
who reached the reached the quarters looking in sparkling form. I enjoyed his games. You know, I made my way over to his table when he was playing, and he looks $1 million. But unfortunately, against Stephen Maguire, he did look very good to start with. Actually, he went 2-1 up. But then he had 64 in the next frame and was on for a maximum and missed.
Yes.
And in two
Oh,
scoring
I
visits,
saw that. Yes.
in, in two scoring visits, Maguire stole the frame, and it was then ended up being 2-2 at the interval when it looked for all the world that Jack was going to be 3-1. And you just thought, oh, this could damage him a bit. And not just Jack's bit of carelessness. Maguire played very well as well, I thought. And after the interval, Maguire started the better of the two, and you just felt that Jack might struggle to get to the finishing line because of what had happened in frame 4, and Maguire looked good. So yeah, that was another chance, I think, that maybe got away from Jack, but I think you had to give credit to Stephen because he played well this week. He's looked back and he said, Maguire said in interviews he wasn't going on the beers. He was, straight back to his hotel room and doing things properly. And one of the mornings, actually, when I walked down to the venue, Maguire was there having a coffee along one of the shops near the venue. So yeah, hopefully it's good to see him doing things right. But another one not quite right for Jack, and I think he'd have gone away disappointed, like a lot of his fans.
Yeah, so Jack is someone who he eternally delights, but he eternally frustrates as well. It's because I mean, if he made the maximum, we'd have been saying, "Oh, he's gonna win. He probably could go further, and he's gonna win the tournament." But it just shows you the old adage: win the friggin' before going for the maximum.
Absolutely, yes. It was, I can't remember the exact situation of the frame now, but if he was on 64, it was already obviously missed. Yeah, just one of those things with Jack. You kind of fear it might happen every now and then with him. I thought he might have done it because as we previously talked about, he missed the final black in the Championship League for a 147. So I was
Yeah.
quietly getting excited when this one came along, but wasn't to be, and he was never really himself after that.
No, no, no.
But
Have we
one
another
quarter,
quarter final or we at the semis here?
yes, well, the last quarter final it was Ali Carter against Joe O'Connor, which was on table 2 at the same time as Maguire. I thought it was a decent match. I watched quite a bit of it. Carter had 4 half centuries. Joe didn't have any, so maybe that's where he, you know, lacks a little bit at times. But although, as we'd seen in the Championship League, he'd been playing pretty well. And I think for Joe, he's looked good in the last few weeks, like we say in the league. And I think it bodes well for him for the rest of the season. I'm not sure if he's in the World Open, but when he lost to Ali, he needed to make the final to get into the Hong Kong Grand Prix, and
Yeah.
so that was his hopes over for that then. So yeah, he'll have been a bit disappointed to lose that one, but I did feel that Ali Carter, he scored better, and he's an experienced match player. I think he showed what he's got there, and I think he was playing the better of the two and deserved that one.
Well, as well as you're right. He did play better, but there is also the point of experience. I don't care what anyone says. Experience, does count. And like Carter's won the Welsh Open before. I mean, he beat Joe Swale in the final in 2009. Good grief, was it that long ago? But
Wow, that does seem a long time ago now. I was there for that, and yeah, it's almost seems another lifetime ago. But yeah, I do remember it well.
you know what I mean. Experience does count, and I know Joe's made a couple of finals, but he's not quite there in terms of winning anything. But a very accomplished player. Yes, you would think maybe the score needs to improve it, especially at the top. We know at the top level in the last, well, since the days of Henry, really, scoring has been the watchword. But you know, his safety's good enough, and if he can add the scoring as well, then certainly he could be a danger in the future, Joe.
I think so. Yes, he's a very, very good player, and like you say, I think the match play is there. If he could just improve his scoring somewhat, I think he'd be a real force to be reckoned with. But he's never an easy tie for anybody, and everybody knows they've got to play well against him. But as you say, I think if he could just improve that scoring power slightly, he'd be, he's got a bit of a break now until the Worlds, unless he's in the World Open, I'm not sure. But yeah, a good week overall for Joe, a quarter final. But yeah, not quite enough to beat, Ali Carter on the day. But yeah, we move on to the semi-finals.
Yes, we'll start with Mark Selby and Luca Brazil because, of course, this was a repeat of that extraordinary world final that Mark Selby made a maximum in despite losing. But you would say that Selby was the stronger player on the day this time, especially the fact he won 4 frames in a row to finish with.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was Mark's day. It was a very strange start. Luca made a very bad break off to start with. Mark had a 1-3-1, so you thought, wow, he's flying. But then all straight away they went into a break because Luca had a bit of a migraine. So they tried to get him sorted out. So they had about 15, 20 minutes break. But a very good start and a 1-3-1 from Mark. But in the next frame, Mark had an awful break and he pretended that he'd got a migraine. So which was quite funny to see. It just shows the personality of the jester because yeah,
Yes.
and Luca saw the funny side as well. But it was a high quality match. As well as that century, Mark had 3 other half centuries. But positive signs from Luca as well, as we've said. He has narrowly missed out on qualifying for the Grand Prix, which means he won't be in the other 2 either, because I think he didn't make the World Open. He didn't make it through qualifying for the World Open. So
No, he
I
didn't.
believe
So,
Luca's only got the World Championship left now.
yeah.
But like we spoke of not long ago, if he gets his head down and practices, he's definitely playing much better. But this semi-final just showed what a top match player, an all-rounder Mark Selby is. He never, maybe the migraine didn't do too good for Luca's chances, but overall Mark played very, very well. And it would have taken a lot for anyone to beat him, I think. So he was well deserved into the final. And yeah,
And and good to see Stephen Maguire doing well because obviously he beat Mark Williams in one of the rounds as well to get to the semi-finals. So he did very well, and to beat Carter was extremely good.
yeah, it was a very, very tasty matchup. I like the matches between these two, Maguire and Carter.
Yes.
They met in the first round of the Crucible last year, and it always turns into quite a, the 2 feisty characters. And, they'll not give an inch, but they won't expect an inch either. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Um, Carter had a 1-1-8 in frame 2, but
Yeah.
I think midway through the match, I think he got on his own case a bit. He started banging the rest about and dropping just throwing the extensions. And yeah, I think there was a point in the middle of the match when neither of them were playing terribly well. But I think Maguire, for once, was the one who didn't throw his toys out the pram, and it was Carter who, shown that immaturity that's always been there. Um,
Yeah.
but Maguire, all the way through the match, I thought he played the better snooker. And he improved as we got towards the finishing line, whereas Carter just didn't. And Maguire, this is his first final since the Tour Championships in 2020, unbelievably. But well deserved. So yeah, a disappointing night for Carter, but Maguire deserved that win.
He did. And then we move on to the final now. I was quite surprised by the graphic the BBC brought up at the end of the semi-final to say that the head-to-head between Selby and Maguire was 10-8 in Selby's favour. But then, of course, you remember that the two of them turned pro in exactly the same year, so they would have grown up playing junior stuff for decades. But you know, there's no, you know, there's no sort of unknown quality about these two. They know each other's games inside out. And unfortunately, Maguire just wasn't able to get in front. I mean, you made Selby favourite no matter what anyway because of his record, but the fact that Maguire just couldn't get ahead meant that Selby always had the sort of upper hand psychologically as well as numerically, I think.
Yes, I thought Mark was the better player on the day, and it was two or three steals actually from Maguire that kept him well in it.
Yeah.
I think Mark won. Was it 9-6 in the end? But I think he would have felt he could have been home and hosed, perhaps 9-4. But he let a couple of frames go. Maguire did very well to steal. But overall, you felt Mark had more gears, and Maguire wasn't perhaps quite as strong as he had been, or quite as strong as he needed to be to play a Mark Selby near his best form.
Yes, well, I mean, the steal in the 12th frame, the break of 71 in the 12th, you remember Selby was 16-0 up and missed a red that he would never miss. 999 times out of 1,000 to go dead low. But what an extraordinary miss that was. But great clearance from Stephen to steal that one. But, after that, Selby never let him see a ball. Maybe it was a bit of reprieve man syndrome in a sense. He thinking to himself, right, I've let it slip. Now I have to shut him out for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I think a lesser man mentally might have thought, oh, this is slipping away when Maguire got level at 6-all after such a bad miss on that red. But I think the interval probably came at the right time for him. He went away, regrouped, and thought, right, time to put the foot down now. And yeah, like you say, he never really gave Maguire much of a chance at all after the interval. 3 good frames and Welsh Open champion for a second time.
Yeah. Um, Answer to the trivia question from last time. Who was the Welsh Open runner-up in 1992? You would have seen him on the BBC Wales coverage, of course. Darren Morgan was the answer to that one. My question for the we'll be back in 2 weeks' time to reflect on the World Open in full because it'll be finished by the time we come back. Uh, my question to do with the World Open was, all right, who won the World Open the first year it was held in 2010? Who won the World Open the first year it was held in 2010? Now it wasn't held in China then, it was held in Glasgow, as you remember. So who won it? And that'll give our listeners something to chew over for the next fortnight.
Brilliant. Yes, it'll give me something to chew over as well, Scott. I do remember. I was there for that, and I've got a player in mind who I think it was. So, but just before we go, I had an issue raised from one of our regular listeners, Brian McGovern, in the Republic of Ireland, and he just wanted to raise the matter of when Eurosport closes and it goes over to TNT in the Republic of Ireland, apparently you can't just upgrade your Discovery package to TNT, which seems unbelievable. He has TNT as part of his TV package, so he'll be able to watch the tournaments, but he can't upgrade to you know, where the where the qualifiers would just be streamed on Discovery usually, he won't be able to get that. That seems an odd occurrence for people in the Republic of Ireland.
Yes, well, obviously, I'm in Northern Ireland, so I'm not quite familiar with how things work in the Republic as such, but that does seem rather odd. But yes, hopefully someone will have heard it, and there might be a bit of feedback. Maybe uh, we'll try and investigate it ourselves. Maybe I'll try and investigate and hopefully report back. Uh,
Yes, and in this day and age, nobody should be left without their snooker coverage.
well,
So
indeed
yeah,
not, because, well, we'll not go into the whole ways and wherefores of the decision, uh, but that does seem rather odd. But we'll leave it there for a couple of weeks, and we trust you enjoyed that, and hopefully, as I say, we'll be back, all being well, once the
yeah.
World Open's finished. So thank you very much, Kelly.
Oh, just one thing, Scott, before we go.
Oh yeah.
I was approached a few times last week by various people who listen to the podcast, and they just wanted to say how much they enjoy it. So thank you, everyone who's taken the time to listen, and thank you to the people who stopped me last week. And I hope you carry on enjoying it, because if you're enjoying listening, then we'll keep doing it.
Yes, well, yeah, we're very grateful for any Leicester feedback that we do get, and hopefully you'll enjoy our musings. But as I say, we'll be back in a fortnight's time, and hopefully we'll have a good week or watching the World Open next week, or the parts of it that some people will be able to see, because of course the Eurosport thing kicks in the middle of it. But uh, hopefully it'll not detract things too much, and we'll be back hopefully, as I say, in a fortnight to reflect upon. So thank you very much indeed, Kelly, and goodbye for now.
Bye, guys.